Chapter 71. Reinforce your status as the top celebrity. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 71. Reinforce your status as the top celebrity. No matter how long it takes, Chu Ling and the ugly woman can't be together. Although Shi Jin's fans did not want her to have anything to do with Chu Ling, the public felt Shi Jin had sent copies of the interview to all the media platforms. Chu Ling did not answer anything wrong in the interview, but Shi Jin was wrong for being desperate by trying to be romantically linked to him. In an instant, Chu Ling's fans went into a furor online while Little Stone's fans defended her and the public had a good time watching the fight. All the netizens quickly connected the dots and linked Shi Jin and Chu Ling together. For the time being, it was impossible to cut ties with him. A lot of netizens felt sorry for Chu Ling and his popularity soared. Gu Qinghua was beside herself with fury. I used to like him a little. I can't believe he does this. Tui. That scum. Shi Jin gestured for Gu Qinghua to keep it down. Most of the backstage employees were Chu Ling's fans. Gu Qinghua would get into trouble for dissing Chu Ling. Gu Qinghua hurriedly pursed her lips and did not dare to go on. Shi Jin received a text notification on her phone. She took out her phone and stood outside to check the message and saw it was Du Xie. Little ancestor, Yao orchid is very rare. I heard it is extremely difficult to cultivate it. What do you want to use it for? This is usually used for calming effects and a lot of other Chinese herbs can be used for the same effect. Use something else. If the other medication worked for Fu Xiuyuan, he would not be in such bad shape. She felt his bipolar disorder played a big part in causing his bad temper. His symptoms were pure torture for the both of them, so Shi Jin could not allow his condition to aggravate. After doing a lot of research, Shi Jin decided to try using Yao orchid. She had only previously come across this plant in an ancient Chinese medical text. However, she had never encountered it in modern times, so she asked Du Xie about it. Before Shi Jin replied, Du Xie quickly replied smugly. No matter how rare it is, I will hunt it down for you. I found out that a flower merchant from Holland entered the country with some flowers and plants, including Yao orchid. Also, he plans on auctioning it off in a couple of days. You need to quickly register your interest in the auction. I think you are still in time to register for it. Before long, he sent her the address, date, and time for the auction. Shi Jin glanced at the information before she checked her bank account and quietly contemplated how much money she had. She had roughly $5 million in her bank account. She had saved all her pocket money and earnings from performing minor roles all these years. Since she was not a big spender and great at managing money, she ended up with quite a bit of savings. In hindsight, she was a millionaire and had good looks. Why was she so blind in her past life to get so obsessed with Chu Ling? She promptly registered to attend the auction. Chu Ling, you have to go for the auction, said Hu Lai. Your fans always say you have a noble character, so they use orchids to represent you. This flower merchant from Holland happens to be auctioning off an orchid. I will make arrangements for someone to bid for the orchid and give it to you there and then. I will get the reporters to write about this. Take the opportunity to match the orchid's auction price and make a donation to some charity. If you have a good name, it will definitely help to reinforce your status as a top celebrity. Chapter 72. Noble character. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 72. Noble character. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Chu Ling agreed. Then go ahead and take care of it. Sure thing, replied Hu Lai. Although he was a celebrity with a massive following, great reputation, and high income, it was lonely at the top. The moment he got careless, he would come tumbling down. There were too many new idols breaking into the entertainment industry and threatening Chu Ling's status, so it was not easy for Hu Lai to work as his talent agent. Shi Xuexin called Hu Lai while she was working on the auction. I heard you are taking Ling to some event, right? Shi Xuexin spoke in a gentle, pleasant voice. Hu Lai naturally knew about her relationship with Chu Ling. She smiled as she told Shi Xuexin of her plans. Aha! This auction will be a real boon to Chu Ling's image and status. Shi Xuexin said, then can I go to the auction? I can bid for the orchid and give it to Ling. Shi Xuexin was his fiancée and the daughter of the Shi family, so her request was reasonable. Hu Lai contemplated before she answered, sure thing. You can just come along with us. Shi Xuexin said thoughtfully, I will wear a mask so as not to make trouble for Ling. Got it. You are always so good to Chu Ling, flattered Hu Lai. In comparison to Shi Jin, this true daughter of the Shi family was far easier to handle. They were going to attend the auction, so Hu Lai got it out in the news and told everyone about the auction and the orchid. In the 3.3 photo spread intended for the orchids, she secretly added 2 pictures of Chu Ling. Chu Ling's fans were delighted by the news. Everyone kept saying how noble and dignified Chu Ling looked. It felt as though these words were exclusive to Chu Ling. She had done a good job with publicity. On the actual day of the auction, the venue bustled with activity. Shi Jin was very low-key when she turned up and came dressed in a white shirt and black pants. She dressed minimally. Her mask and cap concealed her face completely. After she entered the venue, she sat in a corner and swiped through her phone as she quietly waited for the auction to commence. Moments later, she heard a familiar voice. Ling, it was Shi Xuexin's gentle voice. Shi Jin glanced around and caught sight of Shi Xuexin all geared up as she walked over to Chu Ling and Hu Lai. The 3 of them were dressed discreetly, so it was impossible to get a clear look at their faces. However, Shi Jin definitely heard Shi Xuexin's voice and quickly recognized Chu Ling and Hu Lai. Chu Ling greeted her softly and said, take a seat. Shi Xuexin was so happy that her joy could be sensed from behind her mask and it was impossible for Shi Jin to ignore it. My bad for being a little late. I was busy practicing piano and painting, said Shi Xuexin sheepishly. Chu Ling's voice became gentle. It's fine. It's not like the auction has started yet anyway. Oh yes. How is your painting coming along? Also, when is your piano competition? He was very patient with Shi Xuexin. Back in the day when he was young and insensible, he was equally gentle with Shi Jin. He considered the time he spent with Shi Jin a mistake he made when he was young and did not know better. After he became an idol, he learned that true love was worthless. Partners had to be useful if he wanted relationships to last long. Shi Jin was only capable of giving him a brief period of hype. However, Shi Xuexin was different. Chapter 73. What was Shi Jin doing? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 73. What was Shi Jin doing? Chu Ling was already a top celebrity. He might need hype, but he did not need a lot of it. Instead, he had to get his hands on top resources and ensure that his abilities and sophistication could rise to the next level. By doing that, he would be able to secure his popularity. Shi Xuexin was already a renowned Chinese brush painting artist. She was going to participate in a piano competition soon and stood a high chance of ending up competing at the international level and coming back with ranking. From now on, Shi Xuexin would give him that classiness he needed so badly. She would also help make his career path become smoother. Shi Jin scoffed as she saw them looking into each other's eyes lovingly. She averted her eyes without looking at them anymore. Before long, Deng Yufei showed up as well. Ever since she was eliminated from Ultimate Singer-Songwriter, she had felt upset. Mr. Wang had yet to fulfill his promises, so she was not keen on dropping Chu Ling. She found out Chu Ling might be here today, so she came first thing in the morning. She searched high and low for Chu Ling. She locked in on Chu Ling and Shi Jin to scrutinize them before she recognized them. Deng Yufei found it odd. Chu Ling had good reason to be here. What was Shi Jin doing here though? Was she unable to forget Chu Ling? Was she just pretending to cut ties with him by performing those songs about freedom? Perhaps she was just trying to play hard to get. She took out her phone and tapped on Fu Xiuyuan's chat. Fu Xiuyuan had blacklisted her previously, but she refused to give up. All she had to do was change her phone number if she wanted to text Fu Xiuyuan. It was impossible for her to pass up this perfect opportunity. However, she had to find out what Shi Jin was doing here first. Chu Ling and Shi Xuexin stopped chatting with each other when the auction commenced. Although all the plants and flowers auctioned at the beginning were precious, Shi Jin was not interested in them and did not get a single one. She merely took note of the auction price and noticed most of the items were auctioned for tens of thousands of dollars and none of them went above $100,000. She contemplated in her heart and felt she ought to have enough money to auction for the Yao orchid. The only problem was, Chu Ling loved being compared to the noble orchid so much that he wished he could own the copyright for those very words. Hence, she was unsure whether they would cause any trouble today. It was finally time for the Yao orchid to get auctioned off, and it was the last item for auction tonight. The auctioneer stood on stage and introduced the Yao orchid and explained how hard it was to cultivate before telling them the starting price. This Yao orchid symbolizes purity and elegance. It starts at $200,000. There is no limit on each bid increment. It will go to the highest bidder. Is there anyone who would like to bid for it? People immediately bid for the flower one after another, but each bid was relatively small. A few minutes later, the auction price finally rose to $400,000. Shi Xuexin smiled gently and raised the paddle. $500,000. A lot of people turned to look at Shi Xuexin. After all, she was genuinely offering a lot considering it was just a flower. Ever since the auction started, Hu Lai, Chu Ling, and Shi Xuexin had sat separately to avoid getting photographed by reporters. Shi Jin raised her paddle. $600,000. Shi Xuexin did not anticipate someone to increase the bid by $100,000 just like her. From the sound of it, it was a girl. She automatically raised her paddle. $700,000. $1 million, said Shi Jin. Chu Ling and Hu Lai looked in Shi Jin's direction as well. Chapter 74. She did not want to lose. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 74. She did not want to lose. Shi Jin purposely disguised her voice so that neither of them could recognize it. Only someone with evil intent like Deng Yufei was capable of recognizing the both of them with one look. The moment Deng Yufei heard Shi Jin and Shi Xuexin in a bidding war over the orchid, she was so excited that her hands trembled a little. Deng Yufei immediately sent Fu Xiuyuan a text message using her new phone number. Mr. Fu, this is about Shi Jin. Chu Ling wants to bid for the flower that his fan club picked to symbolize him, but Shi Jin spent a bomb bidding for it. Shi Jin must be buying it for Chu Ling. After sending the text message, she put her phone away. She knew Fu Xiuyuan would not be bothered to reply to her, but he would not stand by and do nothing since it had something to do with Shi Jin. This time, she had to cause some real damage between Shi Jin and Fu Xiuyuan. The auction went into full swing. $2 million. Shi Xuexin had already offered to pay $2 million. It was already the highest bid for the day. She was really upset that someone was in a bidding war with her over the orchid. She wanted to give the orchid to Chu Ling. However, there was nothing she could do to stop this unknown young woman from bidding against her since it was completely her freedom. $3 million, said Shi Jin decisively as she raised the price and could not be bothered to up the price in small increments anymore. Shi Xuexin trembled when she heard the young woman's voice. Everyone else had already dropped out of the race. Although the prices of precious flowers could get very high, it was not worth it. If the buyers were unable to cultivate the flower, they would lose everything if the plants died. Any rational person would refuse to spend that kind of money just to win the bid. Everyone watched as these young women went on bidding against each other, raising the price repeatedly. Chu Ling and Hu Lai looked at each other. They did not expect a young woman to bid against Shi Xuexin. Shi Xuexin started to hesitate. Although she had returned to the Shi family for years and it was public knowledge she came from a rich family, she always acted loftily and disregarded money. Whenever anyone in the family offered her money, she acted like she did not care about material things. Over time, her family members would get her luxury items, but rarely gave her money out of fear she would find it insulting. Hence, she had very limited money. After all these years, she only had slightly over $3 million in savings. Initially, she thought the orchid might get auctioned for $1 million and it was well within her limits to pay for it. She was clearly caught by surprise when someone bid against her for it. Be Nov calm, how could she approach her parents for money so that she could buy Chu Ling an orchid? She looked at Chu Ling and Hu Lai imploringly. Chu Ling and Hu Lai were not going to auction for the flower on their own since that would make them a laughingstock. Also, Hu Lai only had a budget of around $1 million to auction it. Even though it seemed as though celebrities made a lot of money and the top celebrities could get endorsement fees worth tens of millions, the talent agency needed to take a 50% cut, dozens of employees were waiting to get paid and lots of money had to go into marketing. They were here to promote Chu Ling's good name and they would prefer to keep its cost as low as possible. In an instant, the atmosphere between the three of them became awkward. $3 million. Any other bidders? Asked the auctioneer excitedly. Shi Xuexin raised the paddle once more. $30,10,000. That was all the money she had. She did not want to lose the flower since she was getting it for her dear Chu Ling. Deng Yufei got up and sat down next to Chu Ling when she witnessed the scene. She said somewhat ingratiatingly, "Ling, Lai, that woman who is bidding for the orchid is Shi Jin." Chapter 75. Utterly embarrass her. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 75. Utterly embarrass her. Is it Shi Jin? Both Chu Ling and Hu Lai found this unfathomable. Why would Shi Jin want to buy this orchid? In an instant, a thought rose in their hearts: was she bidding for it because of Chu Ling? Deng Yufei was certain Shi Jin was here to do just that. After all, she knew best how lousy her relationship with Fu Shiyuan was. Hu Lai felt the same way. Chu Ling, what do you think? Do you think Shi Jin is doing it for you? Chu Ling thought about the cold look in Shi Jin's eyes before thinking about the way she implored him to go back to her previously. He nodded gently. Hu Lai understood what he was driving at. Chu Ling could afford to buy the orchid. However, the hype it would bring if Shi Jin was the one bidding for it and publicly giving it to Chu Ling would be completely different. The effect might even be better than getting Shi Xuexin to do it. If Chu Ling publicly rejected Shi Jin, it would help repair the damage Shi Jin's song, "Get Lost," had done to Chu Ling's brand. There were a lot of reporters present, so the marketing would be even more effective. "Fei, go tell Xuexin about it." Hu Lai contemplated before deciding to put her faith in Shi Jin one more time. It was impossible for Shi Jin to give the orchid to anyone other than Chu Ling, otherwise, why bother bidding for it at such a high price? Deng Yufei hurriedly went over to Shi Xuexin and spoke to her softly. Shi Xuexin clenched her fists tightly. Are you going to get her to give the orchid to Ling? Isn't it a great idea to let her do it? That way, Ling can give her a slap in the face and embarrass her completely. Shi Xuexin pondered briefly, then again, that is true. After Shi Jin gives up on Ling completely, she will finally have a clean break from him. Otherwise, everyone will just think of her when they talk about Ling. That would be absolutely disgusting. Even though they kept whispering to each other, time passed very quickly in reality. Shi Jin knew just what they were saying. Since Deng Yufei was present, she was certain that Deng Yufei had recognized her. She stopped increasing the bid in huge increments. Instead, she simply outbid Shi Xuexin's offer marginally, $3,020,000. The bid has now reached $3,020,000. Does anyone want to make a bid? $3,020,000 going once, $3,020,000 going twice, $3,020,000 going thrice. Sold. Congratulations on winning the bid for the Yao orchid, madam. The auctioneer pounded the hammer to close the auction of the Yao orchid. Shi Jin stood up and Chu Ling, Hu Lai, Shi Xuexin, and Deng Yufei all turned to look at her intently. This time, she was bound to give the flower to Chu Ling. Also, Chu Ling would have the opportunity to reject her. Everything will be under Chu Ling's control. Shi Jin could forget about ever gaining hype using Chu Ling ever again. Shi Jin could keenly sense one more person looking at her intently in the crowd. Someone was looking at her coldly. Even without turning back to see, she could sense the powerful aura. Deng Yufei was around, so even without thinking hard, she was certain it was Fu Xiuyuan looking at her. Although she had already earned Fu Xiuyuan's trust during this time, his jealousy was only temporarily suppressed and was not eradicated at its root. Shi Jin knew this well. She could empathize that after abusing him for years, these things couldn't change overnight. It was fine. Chapter 76. A fan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 76. A fan. It was fine. It was the perfect opportunity for her to destroy Fu Xiuyuan's doubts in one fell swoop. She wanted to thank these lovely folks for working so hard to help pave the way and helping to accomplish what she had set out to do. The reporters around them stepped forward to ask Shi Jin when Shi Jin headed towards the stage, "Why did you spend so much money bidding for the Yao orchid?" Shi Jin looked at the reporter before taking off her sunglasses, keeping only her mask on. She spoke brightly using her real voice, "I bought the flower for a very important man. No, correction. I bought them for the most important man in my life. I will personally place the Yao orchid in his hands when the time comes." "Then he must be very important to you," teased the reporter. "Of course. He means more than my life to me." Shi Jin subtly glanced in Fu Xiuyuan's direction while she deliberately avoided his intimidating stares. This time, she was not going to explain and would let him find out on his own. Nothing would leave a greater impression on him when he personally investigated the matter and discovered his misjudgment. She hoped this would help eradicate all doubt in his heart so that he would stop having suspicions about her. Shi Xuexin held her breath. How could Shi Jin continue to harbor fantasies about winning Chu Ling's heart? How could she? Chu Ling looked smug. He just knew Shi Jin did not forget about him. She simply performed all those songs about freedom during the program to let off her steam. Deng Yufei furtively observed the man standing against the light. He seemed cold and distant and felt as intimidating as Satan as he gave off an imposing and threatening aura. Perfect. It felt as though everyone would get what they want today. Shi Jin solemnly took the Yao orchid from the auctioneer's hands. A reporter had just recognized her and said in surprise, "Are you Little Stone from Ultimate Singer?" Songwriter. That's me, admitted Shi Jin candidly. Little Stone, that important man you were talking about. Were you talking about Chu Ling? Asked the reporter. Shi Jin glanced at Chu Ling coldly. No one noticed the contempt she had for Chu Ling. Instead, everyone thought she fancied Chu Ling. I hear Chu Ling is at the auction to do some charity work. Little Stone, this is the perfect time for you to give Chu Ling the Yao orchid. All of us can bear witness to this special moment. Orchids symbolize elegance and purity, so they are perfect for Chu Ling. It was so thoughtful of you. You must have bought the orchid because you are his fan, right? Since Hu Lai paid for the reporter to be here, he said nice things about Chu Ling. A fan. Shi Jin sneered in her heart. Perhaps on the day he died, she might offer him a pot of chrysanthemums. No one noticed the agitated man standing in the corner as fury capable of destroying the world boiled in his heart. His fury could even be capable of consuming them and sending Jin and him straight to hell. All these other people might get implicated as well. Chu Ling had already stood up graciously. Chu Ling had already come up with the words to use for rejecting Jin. He had to candidly reject her and be gentlemanly about it. "Little stone," said Chu Ling gently. "You don't have to say anything," interrupted Jin decisively. She took out a pair of scissors as they glinted under the light. Chapter 77. Cut them. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 77. Cut them. Snip. Jin swiftly wielded the scissors. The Yao orchid was in full bloom. 3 white unsullied Yao orchids fell from its stem gently. Just as the Yao orchids were about to land on the ground, Jin swiftly held them. "What the hell are you doing?" Chu Ling was in utter shock. He could not wrap his mind around what Jin was trying to do. She held the flowers firmly in her hand as she looked at Chu Ling while he was in shock. "I told you. I want to give these flowers to the man I like. Sadly, it is not you." The moment she finished her sentence, she turned to leave with one hand holding the Yao orchid and the other holding its pot. Everyone watched dumbfounded. Jin surprisingly did not give the flowers to Chu Ling. Also, she even cut them off. That had set her back $3,020,000. How could she just snip them off? The orchids would be worthless after she cut the flowers off. Chu Ling looked particularly awkward. He clenched his fists firmly with his hands hanging at this side of his body as he did his utmost to control his emotions. Now that Jin had cut all 3 flowers off, it was undoubtedly more embarrassing than giving him 3 slaps. The lights, props, and marketing were all in place. However, Jin surprisingly ended up doing this. What on earth was she thinking? Why did she do that? Hulai reached her hands out to stop the reporters and helped Chu Ling to leave. "Stop taking pictures." Hulai would rather get her assistant to bid for the flower if she knew this would happen. Xuexin did not dare to step forward and comfort Chu Ling since the reporters were around. She could only watch as Chu Ling left with Hulai. Bnoel Dem Hulai angrily glared at Deng Yufei before they left. If Deng Yufei did not tell them about Jin, they would not have committed such a huge mistake. Deng Yufei knew she had offended Chu Ling and Hulai badly this time. She was shocked by the scene as well. Did Jin have a change of heart? Had she fallen for Fu Xiuyuan? No way. It was impossible. Why would Jin snip off its flowers if she genuinely wanted to give the Yao orchid to Fu Xiuyuan? Jin purposely took the other exit when she left so that she would not run into Fu Xiuyuan. Fu Xiuyuan got a shock when he saw her snipping off the flowers and saying those things to Chu Ling. He quickly ran in Jin's direction. By the time he caught up with Jin, she had already left in a car. In her hurry, she had left something behind. Fu Xiuyuan hurriedly went over, picked up the notebook, and opened it pensively. On the first page, she wrote something with her lovely handwriting. "Xiuyuan didn't sleep well tonight. Song Fan says normal medicine already doesn't work on him." On the second page, "I feel terrible seeing how lousy he feels." Initially, Fu Xiuyuan looked stern before his face gradually relaxed. By the time he got to the third page, his aura was completely different. His fury had disappeared and he seemed calm. On the third page, she wrote, "I finally came across a plant in ancient flower collection that resembles orchids, but has different properties. It is particularly effective in calming and inducing sleep within patients. It is very effective for treating insomnia and manic depression. The plant existed in ancient times, but I am not sure if it can be cultivated now." After he was done reading the third page, he felt a stabbing pain in his heart. Jin had come to the auction to get the Yao orchid for his sake. The most important man in her life that she mentioned was none other than him. Chapter 78. The most important man. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 78. The most important man. The moment the thought rose in Fu Xiuyuan's mind, he was overwhelmed by joy and also deeply regretted doubting Shi Jin and for being so jealous. Shi Jin had been good to him ever since she promised to spend her life with him. She never went against her word and was perfect. However, he kept keeping an eye on her even though he had promised to trust her. Fu Xiuyuan kept checking to see if she had fallen for Chu Ling again. He kept tabs on everything she did and spoke. He also thought about every word she said and speculated what they truly meant. Every moment, he was trying to figure out how she felt about him without actually being completely honest with her and trusting her. He might have even hurt her in the process. He almost let her down once more. Fu Xiuyuan felt overwhelmed by his emotions. His fingers trembled slightly as he continued reading her notebook. I finally know where to get the plant. It's called the Yao orchid. It got exported abroad a long time ago. Even though no one is able to cultivate it locally anymore, it is still being cultivated abroad. I have to buy it, extract its essence, and give it to Fu Xiuyuan. Her handwriting was just like her. It was beautiful and intelligent. He could almost hear her uttering every word he read. Fu Xiuyuan held the notebook tightly in his hand as he clenched his fist. A thought kept running through his mind. He was the most important man in her life. From now on, he would never trust rumors. Song Fan ran over hurriedly with his head covered in sweat. Ever since Fu Xiuyuan strode out of the auction, he followed closely behind Fu Xiuyuan. He was worried something bad would happen. Song Fan ran the wrong way, so it took him some time to catch up with Fu Xiuyuan. By the time he caught up with Fu Xiuyuan and gasped breathlessly, he noticed Fu Xiuyuan was not as agitated as he expected and seemed calm. However, there was an intimidating look in Fu Xiuyuan's eyes. Mr. Fu, asked Song Fan cautiously. Let's go home, said Fu Xiuyuan immediately. After the car pulled up, Song Fan did not think too hard about today. After all, he genuinely did not know what happened. For the first half of the auction, he wanted to strangle Shi Jin and ask her whether she had a conscience. For the second half of the auction, he was completely oblivious of what happened. Shi Jin had already gone back to Repulse Bay Villa. She had deliberately left her notebook behind for Fu Xiuyuan. She certainly did not search for the Yao orchid high and low because of Chu Ling. She wondered if Fu Xiuyuan would read the notebook carefully. She had cut the Yao orchid earlier so that she could use it on him immediately. The moment she got home, she placed the Yao orchid petals in water and prepped them for use. As she understood, the stem could be used for something else. Just as she contemplated, she heard the butler shouting, "Welcome home, Mr. Fu." Shi Jin sat up straight. Fu Xiuyuan gave off a cool imposing aura. Song Fan followed behind Fu Xiuyuan. He had a nagging feeling that Fu Xiuyuan was about to raze the villa to the ground any moment now. However, he didn't text Shi Jin to warn her. If Shi Jin had fallen for someone else, she deserved this. Fu Xiuyuan looked emotional as he approached her. Shi Jin kept wondering in her heart if he had read the contents of her notebook as he approached her. If he had not read her notebook, she would have to spend some time explaining it to him. In an instant, Fu Xiuyuan pulled her up and drew her into his arms. Chapter 79. Resolutely broke up with Chu Ling. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 79. Resolutely broke up with Chu Ling. Fu Xiuyuan encircled her waist firmly with his powerful arms as he held her fine waist tightly and pressed her head onto his chest with one hand. He held on to Shi Jin passionately yet tenderly as though she was a fragile treasure. Shi Jin could keenly hear his heartbeat while she lay in his arms. He was also trembling gently. After he learned the truth, he realized he almost misunderstood her and accused her of disloyalty. If he did, he would have ended up losing her. Shi Jin realized he must have seen her notebook and finally came to know of all her efforts. That meant, this auction was reduced to nothing but a minor episode. Fu Xiuyuan would probably stop doubting her altogether from now on. Shi Jin said softly as she lay in Fu Xiuyuan's arms, "Xiuyuan, can you let me go? I can't breathe." Fu Xiuyuan loosened his grip on her. It finally dawned on him that Shi Jin was always distant and unapproachable to outsiders and tended to be taciturn. She would only show her adorable vulnerable side to him. Fu Xiuyuan reached his hand out to embrace Shi Jin even harder just thinking about it. This time, he did not embrace Shi Jin so hard so that she could breathe. Moments later, Fu Xiuyuan looked at the remnants of the Yao orchid in the pot. He could not help feeling bad in his heart. Shi Jin had broken off with Chu Ling with resolution, but he ended up doubting her. There was a hint of regret and love in his voice. "What are you going to do with the orchids? I was just thinking about this. I want to plant them somewhere and cultivate them. The nutrients in the pot aren't enough to sustain them. Plant them in the garden." Fu Xiuyuan told Song Fan, "Remove all the plants that are currently in the garden." Song Fan was still reveling in shock by Fu Xiuyuan's reaction. He was wondering what Shi Jin had done to win over Fu Xiuyuan. The moment he heard Fu Xiuyuan's orders, he instinctively replied, "Yes, Mr. Fu." However, all the plants in the garden were very expensive. Every single one of them was worth far more than the Yao orchid that Shi Jin bought off the auction tonight. It was such a waste of money just to rear the Yao orchid. Shi Jin stopped him. "It's okay. The earth in the garden isn't suitable for Yao orchids. I have to find somewhere else to cultivate them." Song Fan heaved a sigh of relief. All the plants and flowers worth an astronomical sum were saved. "What kind of earth do you need?" "We can change all the earth in the garden," asked Fu Xiuyuan softly as though he was afraid of causing her any disturbance. Shi Jin smiled as she said, "This isn't the sort of thing that you can change overnight. Even if you do change all the earth in the garden, it might not work. We have to think of something else and find somewhere larger to cultivate the things that I need." She wanted to plant more. One Yao orchid would not be enough. Fu Xiuyuan contemplated as he looked at her. She wanted to cultivate Yao orchid for him. Just thinking about it put him in a good mood. He felt everything about today was perfect and life was good. He would give her anything in the world that she wanted. Fu Xiuyuan placed Shi Jin's notebook in her bag at night. Fu Xiuyuan could not help smiling thinking about the way she generously bidded for the Yao orchid for him. Although $3 million meant nothing to him, he remembered her efforts. Shi Jin was writing and drawing in her notebook, so Fu Xiuyuan did not disturb her. He simply sat beside her and worked. Chapter 80. Little Stone's Independence. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 80. Little Stone's Independence. Fu Xiuyuan felt contented just quietly staying in the same room as her. Yao Jiehong sent Shi Jin a text message. "Go and check social media." Shi Jin hurriedly tapped into her social media account and saw the hottest post online. Little Stone's Independence. She tapped the post and saw it was about the auction. Everything had gone out of Hu Lai's control today, so she was furious. She paid off the reporters and told them not to utter a word about the things that happened to Chu Ling today. Naturally, the reporters kept their mouths shut after taking her money. However, a video of the auction ended up getting released in the evening. The reporters were leading Shi Jin on trying to get her to admit she had bought the Yao orchid at an astronomical price for the love of her life. O.org. Meanwhile, Chu Ling was at the auction as well. Judging from the way Chu Ling looked at Shi Jin pitifully, he was about to reject her. However, before he managed to say a word, Shi Jin looked at him and swiftly snipped the Yao orchid off. She also said proudly, "I told you. I want to give these flowers to the man I like. Sadly, it is not you." Chu Ling and Little Stone's fans were embroiled in verbal battle. Chu Ling's fans scolded Little Stone. "Get lost, you ugly woman. She is just doing this for the hype. When are you going to stop sucking off Chu Ling's popularity? The people that she likes have the worst luck in the world. I am on Chu Ling's side. Little Stone's fans felt deeply satisfied by the outcome. How many times must Little Stone repeat herself? She already said she doesn't like Chu Ling anymore. I got such a kick watching her cut the flowers off. I really wish the pair of scissors were aiming for his penis. He. Little Stone is independent now. Please tell the guy to stop throwing himself at her. If Shi Jin was not a man, she would have sensed a draft in her nether regions. She asked Yao Jiehong, "Did you post this?" Of course it was me. Who else would help you other than your talent agent? Naturally, I'm also doing this for Mr. Fu, replied Yao Jiehong proudly. He learned of the events that transpired at the auction and spent some money to get his hands on this video. Yao Jiehong was awestruck by Shi Jin's performance when she was challenged repeatedly. After watching her performance, he felt confident in making Shi Jin a big hit if she could start acting like a human rather than licking Chu Ling's boots like a dog. If she wanted to become a hit using her talent, she could no longer be connected to Chu Ling. She had to stop giving people the impression she was throwing herself at Chu Ling. Now that the perfect opportunity had landed in his lap, he had to use the video. The video was a rare find. Even if he paid for it to be filmed, it was hard to get the same effect. Yao Jiehong felt happy with Shi Jin's performance today. Thanks, replied Shi Jin. Shi Jin felt that the video worked brilliantly. If she wanted to cut ties with Chu Ling, it had to be a clean break. She was never the wishy-washy sort anyway. Even without showing her face, Little Stone was already the most popular contestant on the program. She had already surpassed Wen Yongwei's popularity even though she came in first. She was overwhelmingly ahead of all the other contestants. She might be ugly or used hype to get attention, but no one could say she was unpopular. Chu Ling and Hu Lai were furious when they saw the video. The fans naturally sensed Chu Ling's anger.